Let's go live to Eric Mangini. My way too early. Oh, boy. Oh, brother.
I'm not going to tear it apart as bad as you think, Colin. I like most of your AFC picks. I think those are all solid. I get what you're saying about Houston. I think that's realistic. I'm fascinated by where the Jets can be if we actually get to see Aaron Rodgers play.
Right.
That to me, and the Bills too. The Bills had to fight to make it work this season. There's so many things they had to overcome. I don't know whether they can continue or whether they're going to be too tired to win the division again next year. So overall, though, this is, I think, a really good group. I like the Chargers pick. I like the Jaguars pick. Yeah, this one's solid. NFC, I've got a few more questions on, though.
What specifically? Specifically, what?
I don't love the Atlanta pick. I don't love that pick at all. Look, I've been on Atlanta for years, and they continue to disappoint me.
I know,
and I don't think with the coaching change that it's going to be enough. Although that division is so up in the air, and the Commanders, I like them as a wild card. Obviously, I love Dan Quinn, but I think the Giants are going to rebound. I think this year was less indicative of who they are, and they're closer to the first year team. And Ryan will do a good job of fixing the roster and getting things in place. So I like the Giants in this mix somewhere, either as a wild card or, potentially a division winner.
All right, that's not bad. Yeah. By the way, I joke.
And the
on
Lions, the Lions too. I think you're too low on them. I think they're going to win the division.
All right.
They've got a young team. They've got salary cap space. They do a great job drafting. They've got continuity in the coordinators. They've established an identity. The guys have bought into it. People like the discipline there, which is rare. And they've gotten all over all those humps of not winning the division, not going to the playoffs, not winning a playoff game, winning 2 playoff games. So there's a ton to like with Detroit.
Okay, now I've got 4 more before the season starts. So I do one after the coaches are in, do one after free agency, do one after the draft and free agency, and then I do one, I don't know, camp preseason nonsense. So I may switch on that one. I gave that some thought this morning. Now, you declined to be interviewed for the documentary Dynasty. You've not watched the first 2 episodes, but you know very well I defended Belichick this morning. I said he'd been fired in Cleveland.
Okay.
They just paid Bledsoe, and he was really popular. And when he got healthy again later in the year, about 8-10 weeks later, Bill went back to Bill stayed with Brady. And in fact, when Brady got hurt in the AFC Championship and Drew saved the day, they went back to Brady in the Super Bowl. And I said, you cannot love Bill. Cleveland was a bit of a mess. First year in New England wasn't a mess. Bledsoe was paid, well-liked. The media liked him. The owner liked him. You were there. I said, I felt like there was a lot of intestinal fortitude and courage by Bill in that moment. Is that what you recall?
One of Bill's greatest strengths is he doesn't care what the fans think he should do. He doesn't care what the media thinks he should do. He's going to do what he believes is right. And remember, this is the guy who cut Bernie Kosar. And at that point, Bernie really was at the end of his career. He went to Dallas and did a little bit of helped out a little bit as a backup. But Vinny Testaverde was a better quarterback. But that was hugely unpopular in Cleveland. And then when we were in New England and Tom came in, remember, we were 5-11 with Drew the year before. We were 0-2 when Drew got hurt. Tom comes in. We win our first game big against the Colts, then lose the next one, then win the next 2. We're 5-5 through 10 games and then don't lose another game. So it's hard. The easy thing for him to do would have gone back to the $100 million quarterback.
Sure.
Would have gone back to the star. But at that moment, Tom had the team and Tom was doing all the things that we were looking for him to do offensively. And that's not a knock on Drew at all. But when you're a star and when you're paid like that, you have very strong ideas as to how things could go or should go. And Tom was willing to do it the way that Bill wanted it done, the way that Charlie wanted it done. And it was working. Yeah. Why would we move away from it?
Yeah. So, we were talking about this yesterday, is that we start pivoting now to combine free agency and draft. And this is a draft in which it's considered to be a really high-end quarterback draft. But I said, It reminds me of the 2021 draft class at quarterback. You had Trevor Lawrence. This one has Caleb Williams. Seen as an absolute, not going to miss, may not be a superstar, but there's just too much talent. He'll overcome some nonsense wherever he lands. He'll make it. But after that, we heard hype about Trey Lance and Mac Jones and Zach Wilson. It's like, no, none of that's working. And I don't know Jalen Daniels. Bo Nix, Michael Penix injuries. When you look at this quarterback class, my take is outside of Caleb Williams, just like that one outside of Trevor Lawrence, it's just going to depend where they land. That's all. These guys aren't good enough. Do you look at this quarterback class as better than average?
Well, the volume of information that's going to come in between now and the draft is going to be staggering. And where these guys place, where they end up placing in the hierarchy is going to change dramatically. Remember last year, Colin, when everybody talked about C.J. Stroud and he took that personality test or that intelligence test, and supposedly it was such a bad result, and people had questions, all those things that happen, and there's going to be interviews and pro days and on and on and on, and there's going to be some guy that's not even on the list that's going to pop, and then other guys are going to fall. With Caleb, how does he interview? How well does he connect with the teams that go out and spend time with him? That's a big part of it. You're getting married to this player as a franchise, and everything is interconnected to him. You better connect and you better believe in who he is, not just ability wise, but can he lead men? Is he going to continue to improve? Does he have a great work ethic? All those other things that's so important as to whether or not he actually reaches the potential of the talent he's shown in college.
I want to go back to the Super Bowl. I think I'm in the minority. I did defend Kyle Shanahan a little on overtime, and I said, listen, his defense was gassed. They were just on the field for 11 plays. And his takeaway was, I want to control it. I love my skill people. Their defense is tired. So is mine. And it worked. They moved down the field 13 plays against a great Kansas City defense. They just couldn't get it into the end zone. But a lot of people make a point, and it's a valid one. You want to let the other team have the ball first, because then you can get 4 downs, and you know what you have to do. Absolutely true. But San Francisco would say, well, if we score a touchdown and they do, I get the ball last. There's this sense that Shanahan really screwed up. Do you view it that way?
If he really went into it with the mindset of, we want the ball third, we think we're going to go down and score, kick a field goal, they're going to do the same thing, and then we get the ball in sudden death, and that was the thought process, that I'm all for it. And you can criticize any head coach for any decision, but there is a rhyme and reason as to why he did it. So if you're taking that at face value, then I'm fine with it. I don't love the idea of giving Patrick Mahomes 4 downs, but that was Kyle's prerogative. What I didn't like at all is how many players have come out and said we had no idea about the rules. We had no idea about the difference between regular season and the playoffs. That to me was really disappointing, because that's something you can easily cover in meetings. You should cover multiple times, and guys should understand exactly what the situation is, as opposed to after the game saying, I didn't even realize that it could play out that way.
Yeah. So I asked Jimmy Johnson about this. I said, Jimmy, you've won back-to-back Super Bowls. Nobody's won a third. Not even the Steelers of the 70s, when you didn't have the salary cap and there was less mobility and all the great players stayed on your team. It's hard. You just think,
hard.
Steelers? So you tell me. And Jimmy said it's the disease of me. The secretary wants a raise. The slot corner wants a raise. In New England, I don't feel like Dallas has always had a bigger sense of itself. Like Dallas is star making. That's the Cowboys. New England doesn't feel like that. But why didn't the Patriots, why was it so hard to repeat or win 3 in a row, in your opinion?
Well, the disease of me was a big part of why, after we won our first Super Bowl, we missed the playoffs the following season. Because, guys, everybody wanted a raise. Everybody was doing commercials. Everybody thought that we could do all the same things that we did the previous year and have the same result, not realizing that we had to do it better. And then we learned from that, won that next Super Bowl, and we're able to build off that and win 2 in a row. But it's not just the disease of me; it's fatigue. Everything goes so much longer than the rest of the league. So you have it the first year after the Super Bowl where your off season is shortened, everything's abbreviated. You go into the next season, people are gunning for you again. Every game you have to be up for. And you saw throughout the course of this year where Kansas City didn't play anywhere near what we expected them to play like. And Patrick Mahomes especially, they had trouble in the second half. They had trouble in the red zone. He had below 80 QB ratings 7 times, which he'd only had 10 over the course of the rest of his career. Like, there were a lot of hurdles they had to overcome this season. And next year, it's going to be that much more fatigue. They've got the lower draft picks. Hopefully, they can bring some free agents in that want to go win a Super Bowl like we were able to in New England. But it's just, and you've got to be healthy. They had a fairly healthy season for a team that was trying to repeat. So to get lucky from a health perspective as well, 3 years in a row, that's rare.
By the way, you wouldn't even be interviewed for the documentary on the Patriots. What did you tell when they say, "Oh, Eric, we'd love to have you. We'll buy you some Fresca. We'll have fresh Pringles. It'll be an air-conditioned room," and you said not interested?
Look, I think this is like the 3rd or 4th documentary that I've been interviewed for. So it's like, how many times can I rehash the same things? And it wasn't trying to give anybody a hard time. It's just I've done multiple documentaries on this topic, and I've lived through it, and I'm happy to talk about it after they've interviewed everybody else. But just rehashing the same continuous issues over and over again gets a little redundant for everybody, I think.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.